All right. Hello, hello. My name is Ashley Kirkwood with Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. We have a cool episode. This episode, y'all, is really one where we're going to be talking about something that came to my remembrance this morning. And I want to make sure for those of you joining us live, you can see me and hear me okay. I want to make sure you can see me and hear me okay. Let's see. All right, looks like we're all good. Looks like we're all good there. All right, awesome. So my name's Ashley Kirkwood, and Sergio, you can edit the first part of this video out and cut it, make it sound like it needs to sound for the podcast. But I'm going to start over now. Hello, my name is Ashley Kirkwood. I am the founder of Speak Your Way to Cash, the host of Speak Your Way to Cash Live, the biggest, baddest, best event for speakers, entrepreneurs, experts looking to learn how to level up their mindset and sales strategies and leverage speaking as a tool to drive their revenue forward. You have to be at Speak Your Way to Cash Live, y'all. It is in November. You can go to speakyourwaytocashlive.com and get your tickets now. It is our 7th event. Okay. It is the 7th event. It is the 7th event. It is the 7th event. Okay. So really, really, really excited about you all being here. We are going to be talking today about something that is really near and dear to my heart. I woke up this morning and I was thinking about all of the things that I did not do last year in the name of focus. And I began to think about the word for this year, which is expansion. So I wasn't always really big on having a word of the year, but starting last year, I needed a word of the year because I needed like a guiding light. Last year, I did more work than I'd ever done in my business. This year, we're doing more work than we've ever done in our business. And our word this year was expand. And to me, that meant take on new opportunities. It meant collaborate with new people. It meant be open to new relationships. It meant be open to new ways to generate revenue in your business, be open to new ways to serve people, be open to new client sources, be open to new clients. Don't hold everything so tight. But last year, the word was focus. And I feel like the discipline that I learned how to have last year is fueling the growth that we're seeing this year. The discipline that I learned to have last year is fueling the growth that we're seeing this year. And I want to encourage those of you who may feel like, let me know if you've ever felt this. Drop a 1 in the chat for those of you that are here live. Just say amen for all of y'all listening on the podcast. But drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever felt like, I know I have a lot of stuff to do, but I'm not able to do it because I don't feel motivated. I don't feel like doing it. Drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever allowed how you feel to stop you from taking action. Drop a 1 in the chat. If you've ever allowed, be honest, y'all, how you feel to stop you from taking action. If that's you, if you've done that, I'm going to show you something that we had to come up with that kept us taking action even when we didn't feel like it. And I know it's going to help all of you out there that are speakers, entrepreneurs, experts, consultants. You sell your services. And a lot of you feel like what you're selling isn't just your services. What you're selling is yourself. And the piece of that is true is that when you are a personal brand, people are buying into a part of you. But the truth of the matter is, once you realize you're selling your services, it'll be easier to face rejection. It'll be easier to see your revenue go up and down. It'll be easier to see your business for what it is. Your business is a distinct entity from yourself. You may run the business, but it's a distinct entity from yourself, right? And the reason why I want to point that out is because what stops us from taking the actions that we need to take is if we don't see the immediate results, or if we don't see results in the time frame that we want to see them, we will often stop taking action. Okay, we'll often stop taking action. So anyways, the word for last year was focus. And what that meant for me was that I had to say no to opportunities. I could not just hop on the phone with people. I had to be really dogmatic about my time. I needed to be very clear about what I desired. I had to get comfortable speaking up for myself. I had to be comfortable with people not liking what that meant because they couldn't have the access that they desired. But the word for the year was focus. The word for the year was focus. And the word for this year is expand. Now, it also meant I had to take swift, decisive action, even when I didn't feel like it. And so, what I want to say to you all, to the thousands of you that are listening to the podcast right now, to those of you that are here watching this live, is that it is very, very, very critically important for you to learn how to develop your action SOS plan. Your action SOS plan. And this is something that I talked about and that I unveiled in the Speak Your Way to Cash Challenge. But I want to talk to you a little bit about your action SOS plan. And I want to make sure that all of you listening to me actually have an action SOS plan. And the reason why you need an action SOS plan is because we have to get in the habit of sticking to a plan despite the feelings that may come, sticking to a plan despite the things that may happen. And maybe you pivot the plan a little bit, but you don't stop. You don't stop. Why? Because you have a bigger purpose than your temporary pain. And I want to encourage y'all that if you are somewhere right now in your life where you don't believe you can live the life of your dreams, you don't believe you can do what you're called to do. And I'm telling y'all, it gets hard, okay? Because I am a speaker. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love to speak. I love to perform. I'm engaging. I get energy from the crowds. Like, I enjoy all of that. But I remember showing up to engagements where there was one person in the room and I had to show up and do it well and have high energy. I remember showing up to webinars and there were 3 people on there. I remember speaking to empty seats, whether virtual or in person. I remember pitching for stages that I knew I should have been on and not getting it. And watching people who, you know, y'all be like, man, they can speak, but I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember sitting in the audience and being like, man, I wish I was up there. I wish they would have asked me. Like, I remember all of those feelings, but I also remember serving those that were before me so well that I saw the audience multiply. And so to every speaker watching this, listening to this, who feels like they need bigger stages, they need more clients, you want more friends, you want more, whatever it is, right? You want more impact, because that's really what it boils down to. You want more impact, because the reason why I used to get sad if like we would put on a really powerful event and a whole lot of folks wouldn't show up is because I knew the information would change their lives. Like, it wasn't all ego. It was some ego, but it wasn't all ego, right? Because I know the depth with which I've always prepared for the audiences that I was blessed to stand in front of. So when you know, how many of y'all know you have something good in your business? Like, you know that your products and your services could literally change people's lives. Matter of fact, drop great. If you know that you have great services, great products, if you know that when you show up and speak, people's lives are changed, if you know that by literally sharing the knowledge that you have fought for, cried for, worked for, invested for, other people would have an easier path on their journey, drop great in the chat. Drop great in the chat. Say great out loud if you're listening to the podcast. And when you know that, when you know you have something good and you put it before people and they aren't excited to take advantage of it, it can be hurtful, right? So let's talk about that. Like, it can make you feel some kind of way. It can make you feel some kind of way because you're literally over there watching them go through a problem that you have the solution for. And when you present it, for whatever reason, they can't take advantage of that solution, or they believe they can't, right? Because a lot of times it's not true. They just can't see it that way. I know that frustration. I have felt that frustration, but I worked through it. And I don't mean worked through it just in therapy, because I do have a therapist, thank God, shout out to my therapist. But like, I mean, I worked through it. Like, I went out and I served the 2 that showed up. I went out and I hosted a full event for the 10 that came in the room. I went out and I found the sponsor. Maybe that's the first sponsor that I got. You know, maybe it wasn't financial, maybe it was a partnership, but I went out and I found that sponsor and I did the things that were required for me to grow my business. I'm going to show you guys something. And if you're on the podcast, then make sure you go and watch this on YouTube so that you can see it. But literally, I found this picture not too long ago, and it's a picture of one of the first events that I did. It was called Coffee with Counsel. It was a small event at WeWork. As you can see, my parents are there. That's my mom looking fly in the beige. My dad's in the suit there. And we had a few people show up. And we had a sponsor, and we promoted it, and we marketed, and we put it on Instagram, and we did some live videos, and we got people to show up, and we charged for it. And it was an incredible event. It was a good event. But it was the reason why this event means a lot to me is because it was one of the first times. It may have been our third or fourth event total. It was one of the first times we went. We put something out there, and I believe, I don't know, maybe we charged a little bit for it. We may have charged a little bit for it. But at this event, it wasn't too many people there, but I was grateful for every single person that showed up. And sometimes, you guys, you can get so caught up in the numbers that you don't realize if one person shows up, that's one human you can change. You change them, they go back to their families. That's several humans you've impacted. Then they change their families. Their families go into work and school, and they change their environments. Now you've already impacted hundreds of people. You may already be impacting thousands of people by impacting the 10 that showed up. And so what I had to get really good at in the early stages of my entrepreneurship journey was honing in on the focus. Like, it didn't matter if I wanted more. It didn't matter if I desired a larger crowd. I knew those crowds were coming, but I had to focus. I had to prove that I could be trusted with the few before the many came. And guess what else? I also had to recognize that at the end of the day, what we do as service providers is we take our intellectual property, we package it up for other people, and we give it to them. Once we give that knowledge to them, what they do with that knowledge can be out of our hands. So I'm in the business of giving my audience, my community, those of you that are here, those of you listening to the podcast, those of you coming to my event, I am in the business of giving you the absolute best information that's available to me at the time, and then allowing you the grace and the space to implement it how you see fit. My prayer is that you take it and you run with it and you get all the success in the world. But if you don't, I can't be concerned about that. I just can't. And so however many people are in your audience now, show up and serve them and focus on serving them. And then every single day, what we did to grow our company, what we're doing to grow our event, what we're doing to serve, to go from like having events in a WeWork space where I didn't have to pay for the space with 10 or 15 people to hosting over 200 people that have all paid thousands of dollars to attend, is serving the people that were before us well, serving the people that were before us like with enthusiasm and with excitement, and recognizing that whether one shows up or 1,000 show up, whether I'm speaking in front of one person or 1,000 people or 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 people, it 5,000 plus people. It is always an honor to get on the stage, but it's more important that I do what I'm supposed to do there, make the impact there. And you get good, you learn how to be good in those moments where it's not a lot of people there, so that you can be perfected in that process. Because guess what? I'm a lot better now at teaching, educating, coaching, inspiring, selling than I was in the beginning of my business. So it's actually quite fitting that in the beginning, it wasn't as many people. I was able to get good, to make sure that I'm better, make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, make sure I can handle it, improve my character, all the things before the thousands of people come, before every event has 10,000 plus people there, before every event is sponsored by Forbes and, the Ford industry and all the big companies, before it's covered by MSNBC and CNN and NBC. Before all of that, I learned how to leverage local press. So I want you all to, one, be encouraged that whether it's one person in your audience or thousands of people or tens of thousands of people, each and every one of those people represent tens of thousands of additional people by way of ripple impact. And I think that this will help some of you who anyone ever feel like they're doing the work, but they're not seeing what they want to see in their lives? If so, drop a 2 in the chat, because I want to talk to y'all for a minute, because I want to explain this concept of ripple impact to you before we get into the concept of your SOS, your action SOS plan. So this is how ripple impact works. This is how ripple impact works. And let's do this for those of you on on Facebook. Let's see if we can share it better there. And feel free, for those of you that are on the listening to this on the podcast, go back and watch it on YouTube, because I am going to share some information that you may want to see on our trusty Mrs. Vibe board. But here we go. We're about to get into ripple impact. And this was something that I've been talking about for a while, but it really helped me to understand that the impact of what I'm doing does not stop with just the people that I see. It doesn't stop with just the people that I see. And your impact does not stop with just the people that you see. Okay, so let's get into it. For those of you on Instagram, you can definitely join on Facebook, but I'll try to show y'all the board as well. All right, so first off, ripple impact. What does it mean? How does it work? Ripple impact is this. When you do something for one person, it actually impacts far more people than the one that you see. Okay, so let's say you have one person that you're impacting. Like, you have one person that shows up to your live video and you're like, man, I really want more people to be there. I want more people to see this. And I want to make sure that they get what they're supposed to get out of it, because you're a good person. Okay, cool. So you're speaking to the one person, and maybe only one person bought your course, or only one person came to your event, or only one person, whatever, right? The one. But that one person may have a family of 4 at home. So now you only, but like, this may have been the only person that you saw show up. So you only saw the one show up. You didn't know their whole family was going to be there. But now you think you've impacted one, but really you've impacted 5 folks. You just didn't see the other 4. But then each of these 4 people may go to a job with more than like 100 plus employees there, right? Or they go to a school with more than 100 plus students there. And what you said was so impactful. Like, you showed up and you showed out. You made sure that when you spoke, you blew the house down. You encouraged them. You inspired them. You gave them excellent service. You gave them great customer service. And so now they go back home to their families, this family of 4, and they remember one thing from your message that literally shifted the way they see the world. And so then they told each of their family members, and it was so impactful to them that they went and regurgitated it to all their friends that they saw at school, or all their employees that they saw at work. And guess what? Maybe one of them works for a company that was looking for a speaker for the upcoming month. And so they've now referred you to come in and speak to their company, because you did such a good job, not for them, but for the one person that was in the audience. This is how ripple impact works. And so I know that when you are in the thick of doing what you do, in the thick of serving, in the thick of selling, in the thick of doing the unimaginable, in the thick of building a business, in the thick of hiring a team, in the thick of encouraging all those around you, it doesn't feel like you're making the impact that you're making. But you have to fall in love with the process, fall in love with getting great, fall in love with impacting the one, because when you impact the many, you'll be prepared for it. You would have worked it out. Like you'll be great for it. And I don't want you all to get so caught up in what you see that you lose the realization that you have an impact that may be invisible to you, but is felt to thousands of people already. Some of the stuff you're praying for, you've already done. You just don't get to see it yet. But do not discount the work that you're doing, the impact that you have. Last night we had our Speak Your Way to Cash Academy graduation. And what was so incredibly impactful to me was that so many of our students who went through our program brought their families out to see them graduate from the program. And they talked about the impact that the program had on their lives. And they talked about what it meant for them to be in a community of high achievers and to be pushed to dream beyond the dreams that they had. And I loved it because I'd never seen a lot of their families before, but their families knew what they were doing the whole time. And so this concept of ripple impact is not theoretical. It literally is what you're doing every single day when you show up and serve, despite how you feel. And if no one's ever told you, you're doing a good job. Because I know that it can be, when serving people, one of the hardest things to do is serve people that you feel are ungrateful. But also, when you really have a servant's heart, you don't do it for their accolades anyways. So you have to get comfortable with serving, even when you don't see people telling you thank you. But I want to say thank you for showing up and serving, because I love that there is a diversity of voices in the marketplace now. And I only wish I would have had this earlier in my life so that I could have been more inspired even growing up. So your impact is really important, but ripple impact is an important concept to keep in mind for those days or those moments where you don't feel like you're making the impact that you want to make on the world. But here's another thing. How many of you know that you're called to impact millions of people and you want to make millions of dollars in the process? Drop me in the chat if that's you. Say amen if you're listening to this on the podcast, all right? Because there's something that we have to do before we start to enjoy the fruits of our labor. And it's interesting because so many people will talk about how inspired they are. Like, I've had people say to me like, hey, you really inspire me. And that's such a blessing. I'm so excited about that. Thank you guys for saying that. It really is encouraging to me. But I started thinking about what it takes for you to be an inspiration. And the people that I'm inspired by, all of them had to transform themselves. And I was reading the audiobook by Will, and I also listened to the audiobook. I was listening to the audiobook by Will, which is incredible. And I also listened to the audiobook by Viola Davis. And they talk about their lives and the rejection that they experienced and the fear that they felt and the pain that they endured and the belief systems that they fought to develop. And when I was listening to each of their stories, and I was listening to the phases that they went through in life. And I remember Viola Davis talking about living in an apartment where there were so many roaches that literally they were fighting each other for space. Like the roaches were fighting each other. Like it was gross, y'all. But I remember thinking to myself, if she went through that, like I remember thinking to myself, what did she tell herself to get through those moments? Like, what conversation had to go on in her mind to live like that, but to know that there's a world where she could live like she's living now? Like, what type of motivation did she have to give to herself? And the truth of the matter is, you guys, Jessica Milagro, someone I interviewed on my podcast, she said it like this: you need to become your own motivational speaker. Like I'm down to motivate y'all. Like check in on the Speaker Ready Cash podcast. We're here for the motivation. But I know that when I study the people that are truly great and I look at all the things they had to endure in order to become our inspiration, they literally had to go through some things. And the difference is that trials are going to come for everyone. But there are two types of people. Sometimes people say they're going through things, but really mean what they really are saying, and what they really mean is that they're stopping in it. So there's a big difference between like going through a trial, literally. There's a big difference between going through a trial and stopping in the middle of a trial. Like you don't want to stop through nothing. Like you want to move through your trials. And I'm here to encourage you guys that as long as you are moving through your trials, you will be able to reach a point where it ends. I don't care how long the trial feels, trials end. I don't care how long they take, they end as long as you go through them. Now, I'm a trial lawyer. So let me tell you this. I remember when I would go to trials and I didn't know when I was coming back. Because when you're a trial lawyer, I was a federal trial lawyer for many years before starting my own business, left that business and my $300,000 job to become a full-time entrepreneur. But I remember kissing my husband goodbye for a trial. And it was one of my first trials. And I told my husband, I was like, babe, I don't know when I'll be back. And he was like, how do you not know when you'll be back? I was like, well, let me tell you how trials work. Trials work, federal jury trials work like you know the start, you don't know the end. You project it'll take 2 to 3 days. You project it'll take 2 to 3 weeks, but you could be on trial for months. You leave, you don't know when you're coming back. But as long as the trial doesn't stop, you get through it. There is an end. There absolutely is an end. So when you're going through hard points in your life, what you need to ask yourself is like, okay, first of all, the blessing in all of this is as long as I'm going through it, I'm good. What you don't want to do is stop in a trial. And sometimes when people say they're going through things, what they really mean is they've stopped in it. Like they've allowed that to be their end destination. And so all of you listening to this as leaders, as people who have big purposes, as people who want to speak and impact millions, as people who plan to speak and who will speak and impact millions, as people who will build businesses that will employ thousands of people and transform millions of lives, y'all can't stop in a trial. Because I can tell you there were some tactics that you could use, even in the federal jury trial setting, that would delay the trial. And then there are some things that can happen that could straight up end the trial, but that could stop the trial, but not end it, just stop it, like literally pause it. So you don't want to like stop in the middle of your trial. What you want to do is go through your trial. And so the benefit is as long as you're going through it, and what does going through it looks like doing one thing per day to reach your goal despite how you feel. That's going through it. That's going through it. That's going through it. Like that means you are literally going through it. And I tell you guys, I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast, but I remember going through the trial, like a federal jury trial. The trial ended. And because I'd worked so hard in that trial, I was mentally and physically depleted and exhausted. I ended up in a hospital for like a week or so. It may have been longer. I don't remember the exact days. But I remember being in the hospital, not being able to do what I wanted to do, not being able to work and impact the way I wanted to impact, literally being forced to sit down. And I was laying in the hospital bed and I looked up at the hospital ceiling and I determined that when I get out of here, I am going to do everything I can to impact those that I'm called to impact. Because when you are physically unable to do what you love to do what you want to do, it really makes you act with a certain level of urgency if you get a second chance. You know what I mean? So I operate the way that I operate because I know what it feels like to be in a hospital bed and not be able to do what you want to do because you're not able to, because you're physically unable to, because of forces outside of your control. And sometimes when you go through a trials in life and federal jury trials, there are forces outside of your control. We had jurors that had to be kicked out. That wasn't our fault. We prepared. But guess what? Even though we prepared, there are forces outside of your control that can literally halt or delay your trial. But here's the thing. Even though the trial was delayed, literally by time, it did not mean that we lost. It just meant it was going to take longer to get to the win. And at some point, the trial was one of our trials, because I did several federal trials while I was in practice. One of the trials took so long that I was getting like physically weak. And my husband had to fly in on a red eye every weekend just to see me for a day, fly back at midnight so he could be at church in the morning because he was an assistant pastor at a church. But he would send me messages just encouraging me. Now, mind you, when you're in a trial, lawyer trial now, right? You work 22-hour days. Like you work all the time. You're taking cat naps, eating, and going back to it. But there's a lot of adrenaline that's involved in a trial. And the way that you set up for a trial is this. We go into a hotel room. This is where all the lawyers say, and they're like, hey, has anyone set up the war room? Now, the war room is an area in the hotel that we have deemed our ground zero. And we call it a war room because we went to trial to win. We did not go to trial to try things. We did not go to trial to look cute. We went to trial to win. I worked at a very good firm. So we went to trial to win. They're like one of the best litigation firms. They're very intense. A lot of the other lawyers, when I would go to legal events with other lawyers from other law firms, they were like, oh, you work at Kirkland. They're very aggressive there. They're very mean there. They're very intense. I can't believe you like it. Why do you like working there? And I was like, I like working there because the best work there. They were like, oh, you intense too. Well, man, we done messed up. Let me tell you something. Working at that firm, going through trials taught me a lot about how I need to go through life. When you get a situation in your life that you think is a trial for you, it's hard for you, it's tough for you, you're going to need a war room. That's a place where you know you can go and control the environment and prepare to win the trial. That may be a little workspace. That may be a spot that you like. It could be a Starbucks little table that you're going to work at, but you need a place where you can go and plan. You need a place where you can go when life seems like it's coming at you. You can maintain some level of order. It's nowhere else but in your mind. You can do it there. And while you're there, while you're preparing, while you're planning, no matter how hard it gets, no matter what you feel like, because we were tired, we didn't want to keep doing that. You understand that the goal of a trial is to win. It's not to try. It's not like, what are we doing here? And I think that some of your purposes, some of your callings are so great that yes, you're going to go through trials, but that's okay. The goal of the trial is to win. How do you win? You prepare. You prepare a place and you prepare your action SOS plan. So when we were in our war room, we were going through our jury trials, tensions would be high, but we always had a plan. Always. Everyone in our lives, everyone in the trial, everyone on the team had a distinct thing that they had to do. And based on what happened in court during the day, that would impact how the plan would need to be shifted for tomorrow. Some of you already have a plan. However, based on what has happened in your life, your plan may need to change. And I don't want you to get discouraged if you need to change your plan. But one of the outside or one of the inside forces that can keep you from winning a trial is your feelings. So how do we overcome our feelings? Well, you need to develop what I call your action SOS plan. And this concept is very simple. An action SOS plan is going to be the plan of attack that you utilize when you don't feel like doing anything. It's going to be a series of steps. It could be music you listen to. It could be a book that you read. It could be a mantra that you say to yourself. But it is going to be what you do when you feel that feeling of, I don't want to do anything. I don't think it's going to work. I feel like giving up. It is a belief system that you develop, and it is action steps that you take that will force you into action despite how you feel. And what begins to happen, you guys, if you start the habit of taking action consistently, no matter how you feel, it gets easier to just keep taking action because you'll get in a flow. But I believe that the biggest inside threat to your business is not the recession, or outside threat to your business isn't the recession. It isn't your customers. It isn't the school season. It isn't any of the things that we hear on the news. It isn't the diseases and the plagues and all the stuff. Like, the biggest threat to your business is an inside threat, and it's your feelings. It's the fact that when you don't feel like it, you don't do anything, or you don't operate at the same level. And so what I would say to all of you that have a big purpose, if you don't listen to this, but for all of you that are leaders and all of you that have to do what it takes to impact and inspire other people, you need an action SOS plan. You need a podcast you're going to listen to, a song you're going to listen to, a phrase, an affirmation that you're going to hang on to, so that when you start feeling like you don't want to do it, you know the series of steps you can take to spring you back into action. So I would inspire all of you or encourage all of you rather, to develop your action SOS plan. That way your business isn't run by your feelings, it's run by you. And I also want to encourage all of you that are going through something right now, that trials always end. They can be delayed, but it doesn't mean you lose. You could even stop in it for a minute, right? But you can resume and make sure you're going through your trials. You're not stopping there. One of my favorite quotes from Steve Harvey is, if you're going through hell, why would you stop there? Like, not the destination you want to be in. So just don't stop. And as long as you don't quit, you have a chance to still win. You have a chance to still win and not give up. So I hope that this was inspiring. I hope that it was encouraging, y'all. My word for last year was focus. So I did whatever it took to grow the business. I wake up every day and I go and I try to find my people, the people that I am supposed to impact in this world. And my word for this year has been expand. And our company has expanded. Our team has expanded. My husband joined full time. We went from servicing, I'm going to show y'all this. I'm going to show you guys this. We went from servicing 10 people in a conference room at Speak Your Way to Cash Live in 2019, which was not that long ago. That was like 19, 20, 21, 22. That was like 4 years ago. Dang, time be moving. We went to serving 10 people in a conference room at Speak Your Way to Cash Live in 2019 to having more than 200 speakers registered for Speak Your Way to Cash Live. Now, I almost said 2,000. I guess that'll be next year. If not this year, I don't know what can happen. I ain't limited it. So, and we still do have tickets on sale, but this was our first event. These are the 10 people that are in the conference room. And of these 10 people, Dominique and Teresa, who are pictured on it's my left-hand side, will be at the event this year. And Dominique has since landed a 6-figure contract. Teresa has since landed a 5-figure contract. They were just getting started in their business when it started, and we've seen them grow and transform. Kimmy was at some point working overseas, doing what she loves. I'm still connected to Veronica. I'm still connected to Professor Shelby. She just got a residency at Northwestern Law. Like Lauren has since had a baby. Like, I'm still connected with these clients. And what's so beautiful is many of them still continue to invest in our company and grow with our organization. So I would encourage you, if you're listening to this and you want to grow your business, you want to transform your mindset and increase your sales, then you need to be at Speak Your Way to Cash Live. There's no better place for you to be if you're interested in doing large business deals with big organizations, increasing your sales, utilizing speaking as a persuasive tool to increase your impact. Like, literally, we cover all the things. I was developing the curriculum with one of our instructional designers yesterday. And let me just tell y'all, the stuff we have planned for this year's event, you should not miss it. It would be a disservice to your future to miss the greatness that is happening. Now, I always tell people, as a disclaimer, the people that you should be at the event if it is in alignment with the goals you seek to reach. And if the goal that you seek to reach is growing your speaking business, increasing the sales in your entrepreneurial endeavors, transforming your mindset so that it isn't the biggest threat that can hold you back in business, but your mindset serves as the very lever that you can pull to propel your business, then you want to make sure that you're at Speak Your Way to Cash Live. You can go to www.speakyourwaytocashlive now and join the 200 plus speakers who have already said yes to their futures and said yes to growing their businesses, utilizing the services and strategies that we teach. We're unveiling a new methodology at this particular live. We're doing a training on licensing for the first time. We're doing a training on persuasive speaking for the first time. We're doing a delivery den for the first time. We're doing a corporate roundtable for the first time, bringing in decision makers to speak to you. But like, this is where it started. And I show you this picture for so many reasons. One of them being this. When it was 10 people in this conference room for Speak Your Way to Cash Live, I taught my heart out, still developed workbooks, did all the things. And I didn't stop because only 10 people showed up. The reason we have the event that we're going to have this year, the event that we have this year is great, but it don't compare to the events that we're going to have in the future. And we're already booking our venue for 2023, but I'm so glad I didn't get caught up. In fact, I remember 10 people coming to this event. I was thrilled. Like, I was beyond thrilled. I was through the moon because this is what I love to do. And so to be able to get paid for what you love to do is truly an honor and a blessing. Because although I did trial work and I enjoy being in court, I didn't love every aspect of my corporate job. I didn't love many aspects of it, but I did enjoy the disciplines that it taught me. I love that it taught me how to go through trials. I love that it taught me how to transform mindsets by way of being a jury trial lawyer and transforming juries' mindsets. I love that it taught me compassion for people that look differently from me. I love that I got to do hundreds of thousands of dollars of pro bono work and give these men that were incarcerated the best absolute legal representation at no cost to them. I love that we were able to win historic jury victories. And I love the stuff that we were able to do. But I didn't feel like that was really my purpose. And it doesn't even compare to the thousands of lives that we've been able to transform directly through Speak Your Way to Cash. And so I get paid for doing what I love to do. So when you show up to my event, know that you're showing up to an event founded by someone that loves to do it, which means we're going to do it with such a level of excellence that our goal is to blow your mind when you get there. Our goal is to surprise you. Our goal is to prepare for you, because we want to show the people that show up that you deserve to be surprised. You deserve to be prepared for. You deserve to be catered to. You deserve to be in a space where intellectual conversations are happening that you are a part of, an equal partner in. You deserve to dream bigger dreams. You deserve to take bigger actions. And you deserve to live a life where fear doesn't shackle you to your present, but where belief propels you to your future. You deserve that. And because you deserve it, and if you believe you deserve it, I want you to go to speakyourwaytocashlive.com and meet me at Speak Your Way to Cash Live in November of 2022. Ticket sales are going to have to end soon. We will announce when ticket sales end, and we'll also announce when our VIP in-person tickets sell out. We are very close to selling out our in-person ticket sales. I haven't done the final count, so I won't tell you the percentage now because I want to make sure it's accurate, but we're very close to selling out our in-person event. Seats are very limited for the in-person spot, and it's going to be a time. It is going to be a time. So if you don't have your ticket, you need to get it. Shout out to our sponsors, Connected and 99 Designs, for sponsoring this incredible event. Thank you, Chris Kirkwood, for securing sponsorships for this event. We've already done several pre-event sessions and bonuses. And when you go and buy your ticket today, you guys, you'll get access to a portal of the past sessions that we've already done. You have a portal of trainings that you get to watch as soon as you buy your ticket on our event website. So we're excited to host you. We're excited to have you. We cannot wait to see all the incredible things that the speakers of this year's class will do. And I will see y'all then. If this was inspiring, encouraging, helpful in any way, do us a favor, share this podcast episode with a friend, share this video with someone that needs it, tag them in it, and make sure they get what you've already gotten. All right, y'all, have a good one. Develop those action SOS plans, and let's get to changing the world with ripple impact.